What is going on? The New York Jets host the Baltimore Ravens. In a week, we're going to break down all the nooks and crannies of this football game. If you appreciate that, a thumbs up is an easy way to show it. If you don't want to miss these kind of breakdowns for every single Jets game, go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss any in the future. Man, I'm going to be there. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be at the game. First of all, off the top, injury notes. Zach Wilson said he's going to be ready for week 1. It'd be very surprising to me if he plays week 1. I'm expecting him back against Cleveland. I'm going into this game assuming Joe Flacco is going to be the starter at quarterback for the Jets. The Ravens nicked up in the running back room with Gus Edwards out on the PUP to start the year, and J.K. Dobbins going to be questionable heading into that week 1 game. Their rookie David Ojabo also starting the year, missing the first few games of the season coming off that injury he suffered at the Combine. Now, we're going to break down 10 different positional groups, and we're going to give the nod to either the Jets or the Ravens for each group. Let's get it going. Starting with the coaching battle. I'm not even going to get it into coordinators here. Let's be honest. Robert Saleh, second year, unproven. John Harbaugh, maybe ticketed for the Hall of Fame one day. That's pretty easy. The Ravens have the advantage with the coaching. Quarterback room. Another quick one. The Jets are starting their backup, 37-year-old Joe Flacco. You could do a lot worse than a backup quarterback in Flacco, but Lamar Jackson, when he's good to go and he's at his best, he's like a video game. Former MVP, the quarterback nod goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Offensive line. I'm going to give the edge to the Jets here. Pretty easy, in my opinion. The Ravens have Ronnie Stanley, who when he's at his best is an all-pro tackle, but he's barely played the last 2 seasons. And then across the rest of their offensive line, it's a bunch of mid and then a rookie in Tyler Linderbaum. They got a couple of average guards, and then their right tackle is New York Jets former right tackle Morgan Moses. The Jets, I mean, if you look at the guard position specifically, they got a Pro Bowler in Laken Tomlinson, a blue chipper in AVT, a former Pro Bowler in Dwayne Brown, and George Fant and Connor McGovern, slightly above average at their positions, respectively. Offensive line goes to the Jets. Running back room. Well, when they're all healthy, the Ravens go 3 deep at running back as well as any team in the NFL, and all those skill sets complement each other. But with the injuries, it makes it pretty clear. I'm going to roll with Breece Hall and Michael Carter with Gus Edwards out and J.K. Dobbins not at 100%. So running back goes to the Jets. We have a 2-2 tie. Wide receiver staying on the offensive side of the ball. This one's pretty easy for me too, and this one goes to the New York Jets. I think that you could make an argument that Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson are all better than the Baltimore Ravens' #1 wide receiver. At least if you took the top 4 wide receivers in the game, the New York Jets have 3 of the top 4 without question there. Moving into the tight end room, love the Jets' additions at tight end. They're deeper than they've been since I can remember, but Mark Andrews is an absolute machine, and this goes to them, Baltimore, quite handedly, and they have Isaiah Likely, who is a promising rookie as well. So the tight end position goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Switching over to the defensive side of the football. The defensive line, New York Jets. The Ravens, they have a couple guys, Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, really excellent careers, but they're both way over the hill, and they don't have anybody else who you really think you need to double team. And the Jets, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, JFM, Jacob Martin, and the depth, right? Jermaine Johnson, Sheldon Rankin, Solomon Thomas. This New York Jets defensive line, I expect to have the advantage in most matchups. No different here. New York Jets get the nod on the defensive front. Linebackers, New York Jets. I mean, we're considering off-ball linebackers here, so the Ravens 2 inside linebackers, and then the Jets guys, they roll out there in the 4-2 or the 4-3, and we're looking at Patrick Queen and Bynes in Baltimore. Are either of them better than C.J. Mosley and Quan Alexander? Queen might be. You know, he's a young player, ascending, good athlete, so he might change our mind short order in this game, but for right now, I'm rolling with C.J. and Quan over anybody they have playing off the ball in Baltimore. Defensive backfield, Baltimore, quite easily. I mean, the Jets have really improved their secondary too, but Baltimore, if these guys all come back in full form, that might be the best secondary in the league. Marlon Humphrey and Peters, 2 all-pro cornerbacks. They added Marcus Williams, arguably the best free safety in the game. And at the other safety position, they have a blue-chip prospect in Kyle Hamilton. So defensive backs go to Baltimore. Special teams, final one. It was really, really close. I like the Jets' coverage units. Braxton Berrios, an all-pro returner. But I'm going to give the nod to Baltimore because Justin Tucker is the most dangerous leg in the history of football. And if it comes down to a field goal and it's anything under 65 yards, you could pretty much chalk it up to a win for Baltimore in that scenario. Now, out of the 10, 5 went to the Jets, 5 went to Baltimore. So why are they a touchdown favorite in our building? Well, because head coach and quarterback are weighted so heavily. But there are a few matchups that I like, and here are some keys to the game that will help the Jets pull off the upset. Starting with the keys to the game offensively. Number 1, establish some balance. I would like to see not necessarily a 50-50 run-pass split, but I'll put it this way. I want to see a 50-50 split between passes down the field and then runs and screens. So the screen game and the short passing game can be an extension of the running game too, but I want to see some of that balance. Number 2, stretch the field vertically. Well, yeah, you got to do that, but I want to see the Jets stretch the field horizontally with reverses, end arounds, and outside runs. Really have those Ravens defensive backs and linebackers having to respect every single blade of grass. The third key to the game for me is to get big chunk plays with yak ability. Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, these guys can play. They're going to make some plays down the field, but that's going to be tough sledding against, again, 3 of those guys back there in coverage, and Humphrey, Peters, and Williams, all pros. So if the Jets are going to get big plays, I think they're going to need to do it by making some guys miss, some elusive yak plays. And the final one is going to be attacking the middle of the Baltimore Ravens defense. Again, where they're weak in coverage is their linebackers and their slot corner. That's where I want to attack the field. So who are some players in the Jets that could help us accomplish these goals that we just outlined? Number 1, running back Breece Hall. Not this game. I'm looking at running back Michael Carter and what he did in that Cincinnati Bengals game, really using his elusiveness to shake free and make big plays, finding himself lined up against linebackers, the slip screens, the tunnel screens, the tosses, the pin and pulls. I think Michael Carter could have a big game. Number 2, Tyler Conklin. Give me any Ravens linebacker matched up against Tyler Conklin. Thank you very much. And the rapport he's built with all the Jets quarterbacks, he is just going to be an absolute weapon. It's going to be pretty obvious every game we could pencil him in as a key player, but I'm really excited to see him in a Jets uniform. I think he's got some matchups that we like in this game. And finally, Garrett Wilson. I'm not necessarily listing the best players, but just some guys who are, I think, have successful or beneficial matchups in this game. And Garrett Wilson, he's likely going to be taking the most reps out of the slot of our top 3 wide receivers. We mentioned the Ravens have 2 all-pros on the outside, but they have Fuller in the slot, and I like the number 10 overall pick going against the veteran in that matchup. So those 3 guys, I think, could have pretty big games. Switching over to the defensive side of the football. Key number 1 to the game is don't let Lamar go video game with his legs. And how do you do that? Well, you don't quarterback spy him. Number 1, no. When you quarterback spy Lamar Jackson, you're wasting a defender. There isn't a human being on the Jets that can run sideline to sideline and make an open field tackle with Lamar Jackson consistently. Even Whitehead, we're going to get to him in a minute. He'll make the tackle, but he's not fast enough. It's a waste of a defender. But what you do is you blitz him. Often teams will go 0 cover blitz, and you take away all of his scrambling lanes. All right, that is the blueprint that teams like Miami showed us. They ran the same blitz against him like 40 times, and Lamar couldn't handle it. Now, I know I got some Ravens fans in here. You're welcome to talk ball. You're going to say, we were injured, and that's not going to work this year. You were injured, bro. Welcome to our life as Jets fans, and that's not going to work? Okay, we'll see. But if someone gives you a blueprint, you got to follow it until Lamar and Harbaugh prove that they have adjusted. And then if they do, then we'll have to switch it up and try something else. But that's what I want to do to start the game. Blitz him, take away the running games. Key number 2 to the game for the Jets is don't let Mark Andrews be a world beater. One of the best tight ends in the NFL. We got to assign multiple people to him. We got to chip him. I want to disrupt his timing at the line of scrimmage because when we bring these blitzes, Lamar is going to be looking to Mark as his hot route. So I want a defensive end coming in, hitting him. Okay, disrupt his timing so that Lamar can't get it to him right away, and we can hopefully get some sacks that way. And you might be saying, well, man, if we're blitzing all these guys and we're assigning multiple guys to Mark Andrews, who's covering all these wide receivers? Yeah, that's going to be another key to this game is can our corners hang with their wide receivers one-on-one? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust our top 3 corners in Sauce, DJ Reed, and Michael Carter against their top 3 wide receivers. And if Lamar Jackson is stepping back in the pocket and dropping dimes to the likes of Bateman and Proche and Duvernay over the heads of Sauce, Reed, and Michael Carter, then we'll just have to hold the L. I think keeping Lamar in the pocket and keeping Mark Andrews in check, those are the keys to the game, and you got to trust your corners to do the rest. Now, who are some key defensive players in this game that will help us accomplish some of these goals? Well, number one, I think Quinnen Williams has a really advantageous matchup in this game. We talked about the Ravens' interior offensive line being kind of mediocre, and they are starting Tyler Linderbaum, who is a good prospect, but it's his first ever game. I think Quinnen should get the better of those three guys and bring that pressure right up the middle. That's pressure that's hard to deal with for quarterbacks when it comes right in their face. Also, I want to see Quinnen making some TFLs in the run game as well. Number two, I put both of these guys kind of lumped together because they're going to accomplish the same thing. We know what's killed the Jets defense recently, even when they've been decent. It's the tight ends, and it's the running backs out of the backfield, and it's the screen. So I think Quan Alexander and Jordan Whitehead are going to be huge in those. Jordan Whitehead coming up in the box, sniffing out those screens, big on short yardage run plays, and then Quan Alexander, can he cover some running backs out of the backfield? Can he cover some tight ends? That's what we brought both of those men in here to do. And finally, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, and I'm really looking forward to him in this matchup with Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman, Baltimore Ravens fans feel about this young kid the way Jets fans feel about Elijah Moore. He's got a ton of talent, and so does Sauce. So that could be where the game lies. Now, obviously, we're not going to follow him around the field. It's left corner and it's right corner for the Jets. But that matchup may very well decide this game. And then the final X factor for me is this New York Jets crowd. This is going to be, I put out a tweet, and I fully believe that this Jets home opener crowd is going to be more raucous than the crowd that's rooting for the defending champion Super Bowl Rams, because that's how Jets fans are coming off of a 4-win season. And if we can start off just with force a 3 and out, or go down there and put some points on the board with a field goal, give these fans something to root for, keep the fans in the game, and the Baltimore Ravens could be running into a buzzsaw, and the Jets could definitely pull off the upset. I can't wait. We'll talk ball soon.